There'll be girls across the nation that'll eat this up. Babe, I know that it's your soul, but could you bottle it up? Get down to the heart of it. No, it's my heart. Your shit out of your love. Don't make me tell you again.
Okay, we started.
Let's go.
Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Interesting People at McGill. Our second podcast here. We have a very interesting guest. There's no shortage of what he's accomplished in only 24 years of age. We have Albert Mouawad here. Albert, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Albert Mouawad is a mechanical engineering graduate from McGill University with a minor in biomedical engineering. He's currently a director of Thorasys. He's a founder at Pulsar. We're going to talk about this later. And he's also pursuing a master's in, he's doing a lot of masters, but one of them is in computer science at Georgia Tech. He's also mastering in biomedical engineering in University of Toronto. All right, we also have my brother here, Joseph Mashalani. He's a chemical engineering...
You can call me Joey, guys.
Call me Joey, yeah. His boys call him Joey. He's a chemical engineering graduate at also from McGill. This time my co-host is not from Concordia. So there's
and
that.
I'm not into finance as well, so...
He's not a finance bro, as you can see.
Yeah.
Right.
He's not wearing chains and stuff.
Yeah. I'm more on the normal side of things. Let's put it that way. Shout out Chris, by the way.
Shout out Chris, for sure. He's a business consultant at CGI. We're going to talk about this also later. Let's start about you, Albert.
Before we start about me,
Yeah.
let's start about you. You're also an interesting person.
Thank you, man.
I want to
Appreciate it.
congratulate you for starting your own podcast, and I wish you all the best, and I'm sure it's going to be a huge success. So I got you something. So that's like a card holder from McGill, and then a pin also from McGill. So that's
wow.
Like a thank you gift for being it for your podcast.
It's really nice.
Thank you, Albert.
It's really nice.
Thank you, really. Appreciate it. Wow, that was a surprise. I didn't know that. That was actually a surprise.
Now we got it. Yeah.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Let me show it to the camera real quick.
Yeah, sure. Let's do it. Here's a pin of McGill. We'll zoom that in. I will zoom that in the editing.
So
nice hoodie, by the way. I like that. That's by the way, that's the merch of his new company, Pulsar.
Exactly. Pulsar Tech,
It's
yes.
what's written in the back.
Yeah, that's the hoodie my girlfriend got me. After I started my own company, Pulsar Tech, which I think we'll talk about.
He's already got merch, right?
Right?
And a girlfriend.
That's good.
He's got his life covered, man. I have none of that.
Well, yeah, that's Pulsar Tech. On the back, like the motto of the company is written.
Mm-hmm.
It's efficiency through technology, trust through transparency, and excellence through innovation.
Nice, man. Nice. So, for those who didn't hear that well, Albert is a director at Thorasys. He's a director at 24 years of age. Why wouldn't you tell us about Thorasys? You know, I want you to just like go on a rant of how you started out as a graduate and came up to be a director at a company at 24 years of age.
For sure. So first, let me tell you about Thorasys. What do we do? You know, it's a startup. Now it's a growing company, so that's great. But when I started with them 3 years ago, it was a startup, and we manufacture and commercialize a medical device for lung function testing. So it diagnoses your lung function. It tells you if you have problems with your lungs. It measures the resistance, the reactance of the lungs, and so many other parameters that you can diagnose a person with. So that's Thorasys. Now, I got interested in biomedical engineering specifically in the middle of my undergrad at McGill. So I started as a mechanical engineering, but then I minored in biomedical engineering, as you said, and that's when I discovered that I really like this field. So after I graduated, I got an offer at Thorasys as a customer service manager. So I started there as a customer service actually for 6 months. Then after that, I got promoted to production manager, which I did for a year and a half, and then after that I got promoted to the director of operations there. So that's what I'm doing now.
Sorry to cut you off, but how did you do that? It was a very fast...
Short time.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was a short time. Like, how would someone look at you and comprehend that someone took it from being just an employee, a startup, with like going in, like in what, 2 years you got into being a director?
Yeah. There are many things involved, Obviously, there was a lot of hard work. Another thing is that it's a startup. You get more responsibilities the more you put into the work in the company, and the more you're motivated, the more you'd like to learn, the more you'd like to take responsibilities. You will always find something to do, and you will always find a project to take on and take to the next level. So that's another thing, because it's a startup. A third thing obviously is also luck, because the position was available, so I took it, and then I worked for it obviously, but then it was available also. So it's kind of a mix between all those factors.
And most importantly, hard work.
Of course, it's most importantly hard work. So one of the things that I started there as a customer service manager, but I was also very interested in the product, on the engineering side of things. I was also interested in the operation side of things. So I went and I asked a lot of questions. I started showing more interest into the whole product in general, how to improve it, how to improve the operations of the company. And so then I decided to take on a project of switching all our work into a new ERP system at my company. So that's what I did, and it was a huge success. It was an improvement in efficiency at the company. So everyone saw that, and they promoted me to production manager, where I scaled up the production really well using lean and 5S techniques. So things that I learned at McGill, obviously in my degree. Which
did you actually?
Well, in my degree and on the side also. So yeah, this is how I took on the position of production manager, and at the time we were doubling sales every year. So obviously that would entail an increase in production and scale up in production. So I hired more people that I was managing. Then we also hired more people in our branch in Germany. So I was I started as a production manager, managing 2 people. Ended up managing 8 people because of the growth at Thorasys, and that gave me more responsibilities. So thanks to that, and I was able to deliver on time and all the quality needed and everything. So that also was a huge success for Thorasys. We kind of we did better than we expected. We did better than the KPIs that were set for the year. So that also was a huge thing for me to be able to get promoted to director of operations.
Hearing your story compared to other people that get into graduating to get into big companies, I see how you get a lot of exposure to different things in the company, and you get a lot of experience that getting into a big company you wouldn't get, right? You wouldn't get that experience. So I need you to kind of elaborate what are the pros and cons of getting into, a small company, and what is one thing that you would say helped you in terms of honing your skill set in that field?
For sure. So honestly, I don't see any cons except maybe the risk that you take by going into a small company, because it's still a startup. You don't know if it's gonna grow. You don't know if it's gonna fail. Thankfully, Thorasys grew, so that's good on this side. But that's the con of going into a startup. So you go into a small company and you don't know what's gonna happen. The pros, there's a huge list.
There's a lot of pros, right?
Yeah, there is a lot of pros. So first of all, one thing that you mentioned is the exposure that you get. So I think, and I didn't work in a big company, but I think that in a big company, you take. Where responsibilities start, where responsibility end. You know what you need to do to deliver, and that's it. You do part of a project, and that's it.
You're more limited. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, you're more limited. I think. Now, in a startup or at Thorasys, you're there, and you need to figure out what the hell you need to do. Right?
Yeah.
So you need to go and. Okay, so you have these targets that you need to get to, and you need to know to start from scratch and know how to get there. And there's no one to help you, because they also have their targets, and they also need to get there. So you kind of all try to collaborate together to get to this target, and then you teach yourself by going by working. And then there are also some very interesting people that work at Thorasys that you can learn from their leadership skills, learn from their engineering skills, scientific skills, all those things. So yeah, you get there, and then you try to do things as you go. And so yeah, you definitely
get a lot of exposure and get experience.
Yeah,
I feel like the reason why people pick large companies is because they want to kind of have a reputation in a way, right?
That's true.
Because once you go into a big company and and later after that, when you go into other places, you would have that name attached to your profile and your portfolio.
That is true.
So I think that is also one pro I would arguably say
that is true.
in going into large companies.
When you say exposure, what do you mean by exposure?
You have so much responsibility in a way, as Albert said,
Okay.
in a way where you're able to get your hands dirty in many things and in many kind of
Exactly.
parts of the startup, and you'll be able also to have the decisions, right? You have a say in whatever decision that is going on, right?
There's no shortage of work you can do. There's always something that you can do. You never run out of projects that you can take on. You can always help other departments like the engineering and development department. There's a project that they need to do. You know about it. Great. You take it on. You do it. Right. Same thing as you said. You have the responsibility. You have the decision. At this point, I can. I manage all the budget of the operation department. So I decide how much I'm gonna allocate money on this and on this and on that.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Like I can go and buy millions of dollars of inventory without getting any approval. I'm the one who approves those things, right? So that's the responsibilities you
But
get.
I feel it does have its drawbacks where I feel that this requires a higher level of expertise
That's true.
to get these things through, right?
That's
So
true.
I would argue exposure-wise, it is true, but you lack when it comes to mentorship on the mentorship
Yes.
side, and also lacks when it comes to your network. So if you're basically on a bigger company, you get access to a bigger scale of people, a bigger network, right?
True.
Yeah,
So
that's true also.
on another
Yes,
side, you're exposed
I
to
think-
more
I
clients,
think-
more people.
That's true. I think it depends also on which startup. For sure, there are some startups where you don't have enough mentorship, and there are some other startups where you do have a good amount of mentorship. Our CEO and our COO and our vice presidents in the company, even though they have a lot on their plates, but they never failed to meet with me on the spot and talk to me for 30 minutes. This 30 minutes is they give you advice that you can, that you will be able to use all your life. It's amazing advice. So I think you have a point, but it depends on the startup and on the company you're working on.
I think I have a view different from both of you guys. I think the exposure is not more or less in the different scenarios. I think it's different.
Yes.
Like in your startup, especially if you're opening a startup, you do have the connections, right? But you have just a different pool of people that you have connections with.
Yes.
You have connections with people that are opening their startups, or like a different pool of people, right? But compare that to someone who's in a large company who has a different pool of people of managers at large companies, or different employees that are your coworkers in large companies. So I think it's just different. It's not more or less, right?
But that's the point. Like when you're opening a company, you're starting from scratch, right? So you don't have that base network or base exposure at the beginning. But when you go to a bigger company at first, you get to meet these clients, these big people, this stuff, and then you go ahead and open your own company or startup.
I think it's the same thing in a startup. Like in Thorasys,
Yeah.
I'm meeting with a lot of clients. I travel a few times to meet clients. I also meet with suppliers. I have negotiation with suppliers. Even at Thorasys, the people there are very interesting. We also have consultants that help us because as a startup, you don't want to hire someone full time for something that a consultant can help us with. So I get this exposure with I meet all those people, and I think even in a big company, even though a company might have 10,000 employees. Sure, you're all in the same company, but you're not going to work with them all. You're not going to meet them all. You can know their names. You can reach them if you want to. But the quality time that I spend with the people at Thorasys and with our clients and with our suppliers is also
More valuable.
Is also, I think, is valuable. I've never been on the other side at a big company, so I can't tell if it's more valuable. But I believe that it's at least as valuable as as in big companies.
That's a fair point.
Okay, let's go. It's like talking about startups.
Yes.
I want you to talk about Pulsar. For those who don't know, you just freshly opened a new startup called Pulsar. You're the founder of it, and you just incorporated it. So I want you to kind of talk to us through the steps to incorporate the company and why you started the company. And
So please go on pulsartech.ca.
I'll plug it in actually.
Yes.
I'll plug it in.
Yes. So
Look
that's
plug in the merch website. You have a merch website, bro? They're actually dope hoodies, man.
Thanks. I can give you one later.
Yeah.
So yes. So you say I freshly started. That's true. I freshly incorporated and started officially. However, first of all, what we do is we help companies implement an ERP system called Odoo. Okay. So I have a partnership with Odoo. I've been certified from Odoo.
Can you explain a bit what is an ERP system
Yes.
and what Odoo does exactly?
Quickly, how to explain an ERP system is kind of a software a system that integrates and centralizes all the business flow of a company. I think most companies use that. Big companies maybe have SAP, which most of you know about. Odoo is a type of ERP system different than SAP. It has the same business scale and the business. It has the same business scale as
What does
SAP.
ERP stand for?
Enterprise Resource Planning.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
No, that makes sense.
So you kind of plan and manage the resources of your enterprise.
And it
Be
consolidates everything in one place.
Yeah, it
everything on
consolidates
one
everything
system.
in one system. So you can do all your, you can have a CRM there, get new clients, sell them, then invoice them from this system. Then you can manage all your human resources there. You can also manage all your engineering if you're an engineering firm, like product lifecycle management. You can manage your inventory, manufacturing. You can do really literally everything in an ERP system. So to go back to Pulsar Tech, so I help companies implement this system called Odoo. So now it's official, it's my company. However, I've been working with Odoo and on Odoo since I started at Thorasys. And I think I mentioned it earlier that one of the big projects that I undertook at Thorasys was to migrate all our work and business flow into a new system, a new ERP system, and that was actually Odoo.
Mhm.
How was it before you incorporated? How did they manage?
We had different softwares for different things. So we had
All over the place.
all over the place. We had a system for HR.
That's a startup, right?
Right,
That's-
exactly. So we had something for human resources, something different for accounting, something different for CRM, something different for manufacturing. It was all over the place. It was working, yes, but it was not efficient. So I centralized all that by picking Odoo, and I worked with a consultant to help us implement it. But I also learned a lot throughout this journey, and now I'm like the administrator of this system at Thorasys. So I really know it inside and out as a user, as an implementer, and now because of my master's in computer science at Georgia Tech, also as a developer, because it's an open source system where you can customize and create new applications or modules. So so basically that's what Pulsar Tech does. Now on the so I've been doing that with Thorasys, as I was saying, and I also help two other friends of mine implement it in their own small side business. So I did that unofficially for some time now, but now I decided to take it to the next level and actually make it to put more focus on that and help companies grow and become more efficient by using this new system.
Mhm.
So that's about Pulsar Tech, my history and my knowledge about ERP systems. And now to go on the logistics side, because you asked me how do I incorporate it, all the steps that you need to do that. So that's not really the most important part though, but it's something you need to do to incorporate your company. You need to go register it in the Registre des Entreprises du Québec, because we're in Montreal. Depends where you are. You can register it in other provinces or in different countries, but for now that's what I did in Quebec. I also bought a domain, pulsartech.ca.
Mhm.
So these are things you need to think about. Before that also I had to brainstorm some names for the company, and you need to pick a name that really shows kind of has a meaning behind it of what does your company do.
Well, let's hear about the purpose.
Go on the website, you can see it. The Pulsar, it doesn't have to be a direct meaning directly, but basically what Pulsar Tech means is a pulsar is a neutron star. It's a neutron star that emits a lot of electromagnetic waves, and really powerful electromagnetic waves, and they sound really like a heartbeat. So that for us, we think and really believe that in a company, a very powerful ERP system is at the heart of every successful company. So basically, that's the analogy. Yeah, and also it has something from me, because I really love space. It's like one of my hobbies. So I had to go and pick a name that comes from astronomy.
Is that related to pulse, like the pulse?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So a pulsar emits pulses of electromagnetic waves.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's cool. I have to read about it actually. Yeah. I also see in the logo there's kind of the two thing, like I don't know what that is. Is that two circles?
No, that's a pulsar. That's like that's a minimalistic.
Let the viewers see. Actually, I don't know if it's
I think
there.
you can zoom later in the edit, right?
Uh-huh.
So, or they can go on the website, right, and they see it. But that's technically a minimalistic figure of a pulsar.
It's like a division sign.
Yeah, and then there's a PT.
Yeah, actually,
Pulsar
that's
Tech.
true.
A divisions. Yeah, kind of, exactly. Because like technically this is the pulsar, the star, and then it's emitting waves, electromagnetic waves,
nice.
and then there's light coming from both sides, like two light beams coming like that. So yeah.
That's cool, man. That's
Thanks.
cool. Let's go into a different topic. I want to kind of go back in time to when you were in a mechanical engineering.
Yes.
There's a lot of rumors. I don't know if you've heard that. Mechanical engineering is a very mainstream, kind of degree to go in. Everyone who likes physics or math just go in mechanical engineering, hoping that they're gonna like their courses. And
Right.
I have a lot of friends that go into mechanical engineering and they're halfway there and they're just, fuck, I don't like this. Like I why did I get into this? And they kind of in hindsight wanted to go in other fields, but just because it was too mainstream and they just got in because they're halfway there, just couldn't.
That's not a rumor. That's true, right?
That's true, right? Like I have many friends, and I also have friends. I have many friends that have the same experience. So, knowing that you were in mechanical engineering, what are some things that students now, high school students, should ask themselves to make sure that, okay, mechanical engineering is actually good for me and I want to pursue that. I want you to talk about like the courses and actually what comes in, like the ins and out of a mechanical engineering student at McGill.
I'll step back a bit and tell you why I went into engineering first, like as a big scheme, right? So, in Lebanon, as you both know, everyone in the family expects you to go into engineering, medicine, or law, right? And I was like, okay, I'm good at math, I'm good at bio, I'm good at those things. So I was like, okay, should I go into med or engineering? Then my grandfather told me once that, as a doctor, you can help one person and one patient at a time, which is great. But as an engineer, you can do something and help many people at once, right? So that's
a good point, actually.
Right?
That's true.
Yeah, and to be honest, also doctors can go into research and then they do something, they discover something, and then it would be great and help many people.
But that's rare, right?
That's very rare, right? So that's why. So that's why I went into engineering. And to be honest, I went into mechanical engineering because I was very passionate about astronomy, aerospace, and all that. So I wanted to go into because at McGill there was no aerospace engineering. It was mechanical, and then you can take some course in aerospace. So that's why I went into mechanical, not because I just was good at physics and math, because being good at physics and math can get you into any type of engineering, I suppose. But mechanical specifically, because I was passionate about aerospace. However, during my degree, I discovered a different passion, which was biomedical, which we talked about earlier. So my advice to people really to know what the bigger pictures of the things you want. Like I wanted to really have an impact on the world and build something, create something, design something. To be an entrepreneur and open my own company as a product that would help people later in life. Okay, so that's the big picture. Now, if I went into mechanical, or I went into chemical, or I went into any type of engineering, that's still flexible enough that you can also, after that, discover yourself in the workplace. Yeah. So do internships, take a job there, then change maybe to a different company, and have an exposure into many different areas of engineering and then you can pick. You can decide to do you can do a mechanical engineering undergrad, then decide to do a master's in computer engineering or software engineering. That doesn't cancel the other. So first of all, go into what you think might be the best fit for you, which in my case was mechanical, but then you can still change. Okay, so even though I loved my degree during my time there, it was extremely interesting. I learned a lot of things that are very, be it theoretical or also practical, in terms of the projects that we did, in terms of the other side involvement in university that I did also. So all the university experience was amazing for me, and I loved it. Some courses were less interesting than others, that's for sure, and that's the case in all degrees, I assume.
Yeah, but I sorry to cut you off here.
Yes.
But I think in mechanical engineering, there's so much more complaints about the courses and how inefficient they are compared to what your real life experience is, and compared to other majors like in computer science, for example.
Right. Well, I didn't do any other majors at McGill, so I don't know the other majors how they go. But yes, most of your engineering degree, you will probably not really use the formulas that you learned in a dynamics class, for example, anywhere in the workplace. However, for me, I cannot live my life not knowing how the Earth is turning around the sun, how it is actually doing that in terms of physical formulas, physics. I cannot live my life not knowing that.
Right.
So
that's a good point. Actually,
that's an interesting thing that I learned, in dynamics. So I needed to know how this thing works and to be able to continue my life.
Yeah.
So those are interesting things, and it's not only that; it's also the rigor that you put into projects, the rigor that you learn from all those courses, the discipline that it gives you. Because let's face it, it was really a hard 4 years or 5 years at university. You have a lot of courses you need to manage. You have a lot of projects also you need to do. The whole experience of the degree really is really interesting.
What do you think about this? You were in chemical engineering, right?
I do agree with a lot of stuff you said, but my take on this is it's more of a degree where whatever engineering you do, it's more of a degree which lets you get you more options once you graduate. So having an engineering degree lets you go into multiple career paths, right? So you can do your engineering. The only people who can do mechanical engineering, you have to have had a mechanical engineering degree, right? But mechanical engineers can do other stuff, right? So a math major cannot go into do mechanical engineering work directly out of college, right? But for a mechanical engineer to graduate, he can go do like math stuff. He can even go into finance. He can go into tech. I went into tech. I know people who went into finance, right? So when you go into an engineer and get an engineering degree, you're not really there for the content, because at the end of the day, even what you are studying as a mechanical engineer, you would be using a very limited amount of the content that you actually are taking in, right?
True.
So for me, it's more of a means to get more options once you graduate, and I feel like engineering is the best degree for what you're paying, right?
Yes.
So it's the best bang for your buck.
Yeah.
Other degrees do find it more difficult to find jobs out of college. It's more people are there, more competitive, and also it's less. So
there's less options.
There's less options at the end, so like more competition that creates more competition.
That's true.
So that's for me why, like, when people complain in the middle, they should be understanding that they're not doing this because at the end of the day, I'm gonna work in the chemical engineering industry, right? Same goes for other types of engineering. So it's just and like you said, for me, a degree is more like the actual content. You're never gonna use it. It's hardly applied on a work scale, and even if it is, you're gonna relearn it again once you start working, because learning it through a university lens is way different than working on it in real life practically, right?
Exactly.
You're gonna learn new stuff, you're gonna learn it again, learn how to apply it properly, not on the books and theoretical, and even the labs that you do at university are not that efficient in portraying what actually happens. So at the end of the day, I feel that it is the best degree you can get for you, But like I said, in general, it's just he brought up some really good points where it's just like discipline. So they're just making sure that you can work, you can perform your tasks, hard tasks, long hours. You can follow, do your
Stress.
job right. So yeah, exactly,
But
handle stress.
We live together. We remember
Exactly.
how much stress we were in.
Exactly.
and
So
how much,
you need to handle stress and all that. So this does apply for your work later on, which is and this is like you getting a degree basically says to employers that look, he can handle all the stuff, right?
Mhm.
So I
it gives
feel
you credibility.
Exactly.
basically. It's really
Don't
That's how
you
I
think
see
it's like too long though? Like 4 years? Like I feel like at a certain point they get into a lot of details. Here's what I would suggest, right? I would say maybe cut that 4 years into half, maybe 2 years, and cut the more detailed stuff to when you actually use it in the real life experience.
Okay.
Like I know some friends in mechanical and in non-mechanical engineering, and also me, that take some courses that I am sure, 100% sure that I'm not going to use
Yes.
later on. So there's that extent of detail that they go into. So I would say, why wouldn't you just go 2 years, and then after that, not do another 2 years of more detailed stuff, but actually go into what you want to do in life, whether it's your job or whether you want to like narrow it down to whatever you're passionate about, and then you go as you learn, right?
it's a business at first at the end of the day. So
Yeah.
But it's a
universities-
bad business for us. Someone's losing in that business, and I think it's us.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
I mean,
But
4
you're the
years for
consumer.
what?
You're the consumer, so it's not about you. It's about the university.
Yeah, yes, but also think about it differently.
That's the
you
first.
know.
Yeah. Okay.
Because you were able to endure those 4 years, pass your courses, master the knowledge that is expected of you in those courses. That's what distinguishes you from a person who was not able to complete his engineering degree or did not even get into an engineering degree, okay, or any other hard degree at any university. So it's filtering out people who can do those type of tasks, the engineering
You
tasks,
can or want.
or want to. Yeah,
So-
exactly. So that's one way to put it. And yes, maybe you can cut out some of the content, but I don't think all of it. I think there are pretty interesting. You know, I can divide in my head, if I remember correctly, I can divide mechanical engineering into 4 types of courses, kind of. Static, dynamic, then you have some electronics, then you have thermodynamics, and then you have fluid dynamics. That's how I can picture it. I don't know if I forgot anything, but those are the 4 main type of courses. And then you have some electives that you can choose to, and that's good because you can choose electives that actually interest you and actually you want to go into. You know, those will be chosen at the end of your curriculum, so you can go there and see, okay, I did internships in that and that, maybe I'm interested in that, let me go into more details and pick those electives. But having this broad knowledge of fluids, thermodynamics, and statics and electronics gives you a wide range of knowledge in the engineering field and how it can apply to real life, to anything around us. You know, your laptop was engineer once designed it, right? All the set that we're.
Do you think it took Thermo 2 to do that?
No, he didn't take Thermo 2, but he took some electronics. He took some coding, some computer science. He took those courses, and yes, the person who designed that, yes, he had to know those details at some point.
Yeah, that's a good point,
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
Now we're using it. You use your car. You don't know how the car actually works from the inside, but if you did an engineering degree, you would understand that, and it's nice to know what you're doing. Right?
It is a good point. I do agree. But what I think is these 4, like going back to what you said, is 4 years of learning the stuff through university is not as valuable as not even say 6 months working on building a car, let's say.
Yes.
You're gonna learn, but that's the thing, you can't filter out the people who want to work on building a car, who are interested in building a car, except they go through this process that what is
100%.
university.
Yeah, 100%.
And I do see like it at the core it isn't easy filtering these people out. So how university started at first was when like through time, for example 20-30 years ago, when you did a degree, you were like you were 100% getting a job afterwards, right? Like the market wasn't even that saturated, so it directly puts you in a different bracket than people. But nowadays everybody's doing everything, and
especially with online
exactly,
stuff,
and like when you're a kid in high school, like in your head you're going to university, right? That's the only option you have. So it's not for everyone, right? And it's not wrong. Like other stuff are in some places, other like career path are more valuable, and they don't need a university degree, where they make some kids go in, pay for a degree, and then not get the reward after, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So the return on investment, basically. So it has like a lot of drawbacks, especially I believe in this day and age. Like it's hurting a lot of people, but it does have some benefits, like what we discussed. So I think at this point it's a double-edged sword, and it's tipping more on the scale of negatives, the way I see it.
Okay. Yeah.
So they could find a better way to filter out these people instead of sticking with the university, I would say, business model. Because in my idea, it's still there because it's a business, it's well set up, and it's hard to like it's a big industry, right?
Yeah.
Big fixed cost
It's a
industry.
model, and people expect you to go
Yeah.
into university.
It's hard to break it now.
Sure, you can look at it that way.
Okay, talking about the university business, you have no shortage of masters, man. This guy, every university knows him, right?
Yeah.
From Wharton to Harvard Business School to Georgia Tech, and now you're doing your biomedical engineering masters at University of Toronto. I don't know if you know, but not maybe, but for sure that's a biased opinion because I'm in computer science, right? And in tech, you might not need that much of a kind of credibility from university and stuff to be able to start things off and build stuff. But why do you think someone would, in your career path, knowing your purpose and your mission, would need that many kind of masters and be able to kind of get your hands on in that many masters?
Agreed. Yeah, I get that question quite often. I would say that honestly, you if you want to learn something, you can learn it on your own. That's for sure. I want to learn computer science, I can learn it on my own. But if the time that I'm gonna put learning it on my own can get me a degree certifying that I actually learned it and that I actually, it's a credibility for me that I did that job. Why wouldn't I do it? Why would I choose to not take the degree as opposed to actually taking the degree?
Money,
right?
So I'm not gonna pay fucking $60,000
exactly.
for whatever.
And I got a scholarship at McGill, so I didn't pay that. At University of Toronto, I also got a half scholarship, and now I have my permanent residency, which is, it's gonna cost me less also as a Canadian here. And also my Georgia Tech degree is also not that expensive, and my company is paying for it. Thorasys is paying for it. So yes, if it's gonna cost me $60,000, the return on investment won't be that.
Yeah, in this case, it's valid.
That's why I'm doing them, because I actually really need them for my future and the goals that I have in mind. But also for the credibility, going to investors saying this person has a master's from there.
Yeah, for sure.
And master's from there, and he's building this. He has this idea. He's starting to build it. This is the prototype, and he's quite credible. He has those masters. He learned those skills, and he's doing them. So for me, that's why I'm doing them, and that's
that's a good point, man. I think I don't know, I don't want to talk on behalf of you, but would you not consider that many masters if you have had to put hundreds of thousands of dollars in masters? Even because in mechanical engineering, maybe it's more worth it to do it than techie bachelors.
I agree.
So I want to hear about what you think about that.
First of all, a bachelor's degree is out of the question. That's something that most people need to do, just because that's your base degree that you can that you'll have for life. That's how you're gonna start. That's how you're gonna start in the workplace. That's how you're gonna that's how you're gonna get jobs. That's how you're gonna start. Now, for the masters, which are more optional in my opinion, yes, for example, if I had to pay a lot to do my computer science masters, I wouldn't have. I would have learned it alone, online. That's easy, that's easier to learn. My biomedical engineering masters, I might have, maybe reconsidered it, but also it's worth it because you get a lot of hands-on experience there, and so on.
And also a good point is you're getting access to university resources
Exactly.
where university alumni,
And connections, right?
Well, yeah.
Connection,
Going
right?
back,
It's
going
a
back
big
to the
network. That's what I'm saying.
Going back to the point of network, because we talked about it in the beginning, right? I'm getting network from my job, obviously, but also from my university. I'm meeting a tremendous amount of very successful people and very like-minded people. So yeah, it depends on the degree. Is it worth it? Is it not worth it? That's a question that you can ask. Everyone has to ask themselves before they go into the degree. Why are they doing this degree? Is it just to have a degree, or is it because they have an end goal in mind? Right? So in my case, my end goal is to open my own company in the biomedical field, inventing some kind of product or device or anything that would really help people long term in their lives, after I'm gone, right? So that's my goal, to leave this kind of legacy. And to do that, I think that I need to learn some technical skills in the biomedical field as well as in the computer science field, and so that's why I'm doing those two masters. So this is the reason behind them, and I deeply believe that I actually need them both. Sure, I can learn the material by my own, on my own, but if I can do it in those masters, and as I said, with a scholarship and with my job paying for my company paying for one of the other masters, then I'm doing it that way.
That's cool, man. I think also like our home country really admires you having a lot of degrees, like in masters, right? We're also kind of back in terms of like the age of like the mindset.
I mean,
of,
outdated, so old school.
Yeah. I feel
Welcome
like
to the
it's
Middle
also-
East.
Yeah.
It depends. You can look at it that way, but it's also,
I mean, it's a social status thing, right? That's what he's trying to say.
Yes, it is a social status there, and I also think it's not that wrong. People that come from Lebanon immigrate here. They all have this. They immigrated here. They're starting a new life here. For example, they came here for a reason. They came here to help, to build a future for themselves, which they couldn't find in their home country, and to also help raise the name of their countries or help their families or all of that. So I think that when I see people, international students at McGill, I think, and I didn't look at the stats, but I am pretty sure that if you go and look at the stats, you will find that they are more successful at all in their degrees than people who maybe are still in their comfort zone, or it's optional for them to have a degree or not.
That's a valid point.
That's a good point, man.
For me, how I see like masters in general, how people should approach it, the mindset should be, what is my return on investment?
Yes.
So how much I'm putting in and how much I'm getting out. So am I getting enough back for example, exposure, networking? Will it secure me a specific type of job? This is where, for example, MBAs become more validated because they can get you places where otherwise you wouldn't.
Yes.
Without them, you couldn't.
Some position requires
Exactly.
an MBA.
So this is where you have to ask yourself: Am I getting my money's worth?
Yes.
I think this should be the mindset for everyone trying to get into masters before they just go ahead and do it just because for the sake of it. Because I think money is the most important thing they should look at first.
Agreed.
Yeah, man. Let's talk about the Canadian Ski Patrol.
Yes.
I know you've had a lot
That's
of
an interesting topic.
experience. Yeah, I've actually didn't know that you were in Canadian Ski Patrol until like I opened up your LinkedIn and I found that. What was your role in Canadian? I don't know about. I've never done ski in my life, right? I need you to tell me what was your role in that organization, and kind of what did you learn about that in that experience?
Right. I mean, as most people do, when I love doing volunteering to some extent because I like to give back to society, and it's a way for me to really feel that I'm doing something nice and helpful to society in that way. So that's why I volunteer, and I do that with the Ski Patrol. I also do that with the Canadian Red Cross. So to talk about the ski patrol is, it's a volunteering that I do every winter here in Canada where I go. We do an extensive training in first aid and in CPR, and in urgent interventions and so on. So we do all this training, and then throughout the season we stay on ski slopes and we intervene and help people whenever we see anyone that's hurt or injured or needs our help. So basically that's what we do.
Has there been an experience where you were in, like, someone had a really serious injury and like you had to...
It's a spectrum. What do you mean by extremely serious? But the most serious that maybe I got was someone who had a concussion. They had like went right into a tree, and then they just hit their head, and they were not wearing a helmet.
Wow.
So that if they had worn a helmet, that would not have happened. But they were not wearing a helmet, so they hurt their head, and they like kind of forgot. They lost their memory for like 5-10 minutes, but then it slowly started gaining.
Any leg breaks?
Leg breaks? Well, yeah.
Somebody breaking their legs?
Oh, there's a lot of leg breaks. I would imagine, right?
Yeah, there was a lot of leg breaks,
or like
arm
knees
break or knees. Yeah.
So
sure.
what does, like, in this case, like sending someone to the hospital, like you need a helicopter or something? Because it's in the middle of a mountain,
yeah,
right?
So the way it's done in the middle of the mountain, if they can no longer continue skiing, for example, if they hurt their leg or seriously hurt their hands or whatever, we go up, we bring a traîneau, and then we put them into this traîneau, and then we ski with the traîneau on our backs, and then we ski down.
It's like a sledge, right?
Yeah, it's a sled, exactly. So we ski down the slope, and we bring them inside, and then we either in situation where it's only a leg break or a hand break or arm break, we let someone from their friends or family take them to the hospital. But we can also, in urgent cases, call 911, and they would come and take them. So
it's nice to see that, like, with like everything that you have going on, like it's like you're a pretty busy person, right?
Yes.
So you always, like, you do always have time for stuff like volunteering. Like, you can always find time for this type of stuff, like even if you're a student and like you're working and you're doing whatnot.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true, and I think that everyone should really divide their time in an efficient way, and in a way that would help them recharge to also do
exactly. It's an individual basis.
Exactly, it's an individual base. So you manage your time based on how you think how you think you can
work efficiently.
Exactly.
Function efficiently.
Exactly. So and I think volunteering is one of the things that I would not give up, even if I was very, very busy.
Yeah.
Albert,
yes.
Thank you for joining us on the podcast today and sharing your insights and experiences. I know you've had a very special kind of route that you had to take. To wrap it up, I need you to like leave us with with advice for our listeners with with doubt in their minds in terms of what paths they want to take, because you've had a very special route, right? So I need you to give us your wisdom on that and kind of tell us an advice.
Sure. So I mean, to keep it short, I'll give you one advice that I think everyone can follow. So one thing that really helped me go into the direction that I went in was really taking a month or two where I was really thinking deeply, like maybe sitting in bed and just closing my eyes for an hour and thinking about what I really want to achieve in life, what I really want to do in life, and then go backwards from there. So what I wanted is to really leave an impact, and as I mentioned before, have a legacy where people can where I can help people even long after I'm gone, and have an impact on people around me, and everyone in the world. So that's really the goal. And then taking it from there, if you think backwards, you can really find your answer by just doing that exercise. And so what I think everyone needs to do is really do that exercise and think what do they want to achieve in life as an end goal, and then go back and decide what career path they want to take. So, for example, for me, I see many people go into consulting, many people go into big companies, and so on, and that's totally fair and that's great. That, you know, depending on your end goal. But for me, for example, this being my end goal, I said to myself, okay, why would I go and take this reroute and go into a big company to after that go back into a startup or open my own startup? Let me go into a startup, take this risk, learn a lot, learn from a startup, how a startup is built, how a startup grows, what you need to actually build a startup.
And that's a very pro of going into of knowing your purpose, right? If you hadn't known your purpose, that you want to, you know, open a startup or whatever it is, you wouldn't be able to kind of take that conscious decision of going and learning in a startup and having experience in a startup rather than going in a large company, right? Yeah.
So basically, my advice is not just go into startup. No, my advice is do the exercise of reflecting internally, and depending on what you find, what you want to do in your life, and what's your end goal, what's your purpose in life, go back and decide what you want to do. So that's very general advice, but I think, you know, everyone has to do that exercise of reflecting internally on themselves.
Joey, do you have anything to say to our listeners here?
No, just I'll probably see you next time.
Sorry.
I'm around, let's say. I'm around the podcast.
Well, you're my brother, so
a lot. Living in the same place. Yeah. But in terms of advice, I don't have anything like to say straightforward. I'm just saying, like, don't feel like, don't be pressured into doing stuff you don't really need to do. So even if you have not figured out what you want, it's okay to explore. It's okay going into places where you get to try different stuff, bouncing from place to place. Not really sure if I wanted, if you're in the middle of your degree, not really sure. Don't just like drop everything. Just go with the flow. Check things out. Try different internships. Try different jobs. Research up. Ask different people. Right, it's the most important part, because I think taking mentorship and talking and meeting new people is how you get to places in life faster than learning by yourself, right? So I think this is a really important part. Otherwise, I would say, just enjoy life.
Yeah, it's cool advice, man.
Yes.
Albert, Joey, thank you for joining us today. It was a pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
And thank you for that, man. I'm definitely gonna gonna have it on.
We're gonna check this out.
That also has a McGill.
Even this has a McGill logo on it.
Oh shit!
Wait,
I can put my cards in that.
That's true. That's a card holder, so yeah.
Damn.
I mean, interesting people at McGill. You know, you gotta.
Let's go. Let's do this. I'm gonna wear that on my podcast, actually.
Right, yeah. Well, you need to suit, but yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, GG's boys.
Thank you.
Love, 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 love.